or not. One thing is undeniable, that right up to the present day, these people do have their mates selected from long genealogical lines.
Yeah. Indeed.
Very, very old lines.
So, I mean,
and that can't be denied.
Exactly. Do you think that there actually is something to the concept? That these, or is this, are they trying to create these myths about themselves or surrounding themselves? What do you think?
Well, there's two ways to look at it. One is, it could be intrigue for the public, because they love to give us drama to talk about
sure.
and be mystified by. And then there's a practical side to it, because going back even to Plato, who was a member of the Greek aristocracy, or royalty, you might say even, who was trained, like all aristocracy was trained from Greece and Egypt, and taught the whole mysteries. He said the same thing. He showed how he could differentiate himself and his own kind, his own class, from the rest of the people. And he would do it by dialogue and proof, by intellect. And what he said was, he says the reason that we, the aristocracy, understand concepts and sciences is because it's familiar to us, because we reincarnate. That's what he said.
And the other bunch don't.
They were just, like the Egyptians said, the commoners who picked their own mates. Once they died, their souls just withered away. And didn't carry on with any memory. That was the old belief of the old religions. But Plato also had a practical side, because he said he was into eugenics, as they all were, and that's the practical side. Is that if you want, say, for instance, a good scientist and who has to deal with physics, you would obviously pick a woman and a male who were both very good at the same thing. With a fairly good chance the offspring could inherit the same abilities, especially if you then taught them at a very early age to be very, very good at that. And so they understood that just like you're breeding animals for domestic animals, and he explained that in his book, The Republic, for the world to come, that they would create new types of humans for specialized jobs, and so on. And that the guardian class, as he called his class, would run the world and control the world, and always interbreed to keep the same qualities they had then, which was superior intellect.
Regarding the interbreeding and the keeping the lines or the bloodlines, I remember, I don't know if this was a news item or just speculation, but that actually drew parallels between, I think it was one of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs. I can't remember his name now, but that the Bush family line actually was related to these guys. And again, I don't know if this is the truth, but do you think that they actually can sit up there on these power thrones today and actually believe that today, that stuff?
They could believe it, or they could be the patsies. What I've found in this system, at the top, they have a group, like Plato talked about, who technically they did no work. Anyone who does any kind of work is inferior. So all of those who work and earn the public eye, the public image, are still workers. And for good workers who have been promised to be brought up into godhood, you might say, it's good to fool them as well. So I wouldn't be surprised. And they have tremendous egos, so they love to be flattered. With news such as, you're related to an ancient pharaoh, for instance. You'd be amazed at how incredibly egotistical these people are, and how they love to be told this kind of story about themselves.
Sure.
I know that Prince Charles was on the media a few years ago, and he said himself, he says, I go all the way back to David of the tribe of Judah.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And then in another interview, he says, I go all the way back to Noah.
Yeah. And again, I mean, this stuff keeps coming up, but the line of Cain seems to be in there a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is at this point yet, but do you got any ideas?
Yeah. What it is, the Old Testament is a rule book for a system, and under the guise of giving you stories, they can camouflage the system. And that's why that book is used in every Masonic temple, because that's the rule book for how the system works.
Yeah.
There's allegories behind the outer stories. So the allegories have the real meaning. The outer stories are meant for public consumption.
Yeah.
Cain comes from the same root word as king. It comes from the same root word as Cohen, which is priest. And Cohen is priest.
Yeah.
And even coin, because they introduced the first money.
Yeah.
So all of that is to do with the system itself, a priesthood that runs this particular system. This system is artificial. The old system was natural. The pre-coinage, pre-moneyed system was natural. So what they tell you in a biblical sense is that Cain, who was, and again they'll say that, he was the offspring of Lucifer and Eve, you see.
Yeah.
And meaning Lucifer was wisdom married to Eve, produced an intellect. And so his descendants, like Tubal-Cain, become the first artificers. They were scientists.
Yeah.
They created weaponry, and they could work metals. In other words, this system that we know today, which is all materialistic and to do with sciences, is to do with a priesthood going back for thousands and thousands of years. A secret society which always keeps the knowledge of science hidden from the public and gives us a very old version of science so that we never figure out how far ahead we really are.
Yeah. Yeah, this keeps on coming up again and again. I mean, and as they say, Tubal-Cain, I guess one of the builders of the Solomon's Temple, I guess. And he was a craftsman, a blacksmith or something like that. And again, this could be connected with the deity of Vulcan.
Well, Vulcan was the old thunder god.
Thor.
That's right. The volcano god. The volcanos, they call them. So sure, it's all connected. It's all as I say, within Bibles, you're given a truth which is esoteric, which is never explained by ministers or priests to the public, because they don't know themselves.
Yeah.
But there's a complete inner story to do primarily with sciences hidden inside the Old Testament. And the whole idea, see, once you think of, read a story and you picture the people as people, you've lost it. It's written in such a way as to confuse you. Once you imagine a person struggling through the desert, you'll remember that for the rest of your life, and it's hard to see the meaning behind. It's nothing to do with real people. It's to do with a system and branches of a system that keeps the system going. It's an inner religion. And so Cain is just a symbol of an artificer who made stuff for war, you see.
Yeah.
And through war you conquer others and you create empires.
Sure.
And you dominate and use slavery, etc. And you do it through craftiness. You're a craftsman.
Yeah.
And you understand the metals through science, in other words. So it's all to do with the sciences.
Indeed.
And sure enough, in the Middle Ages, when the Rosicrucians came forward, they said that they would conquer nature by understanding nature. In other words, through science. They would perfect that, meaning the world and everything in it, and especially man himself. They would perfect man by the sciences, by understanding and unlocking the secrets of nature. And that's been their goal, not just since then. That was their goal thousands of years ago.
I mean, there's no in that kind of philosophy, there's no sense or contact in that sense with a godlike character that actually arrange and create natures according to that all you see around you actually is perfect because it works and goes around and so forth and sustains itself. But in this philosophy, it seems like, again, I guess connecting back with the first group we were talking about, that actually sees nature and all of this in that as kind of like Satan's creation, basically. I don't know.
Well, what it is that they give you a story of Satan and Lucifer were two different characters.
Yeah, sure.
And Satan was the Arabs call it Shaitan.